Welcome back to Conversations Podcast. It's your boy Drew. I want to give a wake up call this morning. Wake up call to all black, white, green, purple. It don't even matter. Do a little wake up call. Hopefully, no one's offended, but hey, if you are, hey, it's just like sometimes you get offended, but it is what it is. I want to get into this thing with Israel today. Okay. What I can't understand is every time if someone disagrees with Israel, they're called an anti Semite. I don't understand it. How come you're not allowed to criticize Israel for wrongdoings the same as you're allowed to criticize anyone else for wrongdoing? Okay. It's because that they believe or they say they're God's chosen people. Historically, to be honest, if you actually research, you'll find even that's bullcrap. Okay. You notice that a lot of them really aren't real fond of the scriptures. A lot of them aren't. But I just want to give you guys just one thing to start on. And you can read this for yourself. I hope you guys do. If you go to your Bible and you go to Revelations 2 and 9, I'm just going to read this and then we'll get in my little story for today. Okay. It's Revelation 2 and 9. I know thy works in tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them, which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Now, who's claiming to be Jews? Think about it. The people in the land of Israel right now are the ones who call themselves Jews. Okay. Now that's in the scriptures. That's in the scriptures. So is the scripture lying? You can just look at the things that's going on right now with Iran. No matter who you think started that war over there with America involved, you have to open your eyes and say, well, wait a minute. What's going on in the Gaza Strip before this war with Iran? The atrocities that were occurring there in the Gaza Strip. What about what's going on with the Palestinian people? What were they doing to the Palestinian people? Does that sound real godly, what they were doing to the Palestinians? If you think about it, the bombings, the raids, the murdering, the rapes, the pillaging, does that sound godly? It doesn't sound godly to me. Okay, it sounds like criminal activity. It sounds like to me we can consider that criminals. So why can't we call it criminals there? People are people. If you commit a crime in one country, guess what? It's still a crime. So it's okay for them to criticize us, bash America, but you can't say anything with Israel and saying that they started this war and it's a war of BS and they're the one who escalated it by attacking Iran. So we can't say that. They're being considered anti-Semite. And even if you actually research where that comes from, they're not Semitic. They can say what they want. I'm going to get all kinds of emails. I know I am, but they're not. They're of European descent, from Poland, Europe, Russia. That's where they came from. You can actually research 1948, 1949. They were placed in Israel. They were actually placed there through military force. The people who were living in that region at that time were forced out of their homes and killed, ran out of their homes, and replaced by these so-called Israelis right now who are calling themselves God's people. They claim that land was promised to them years ago. Promised it to them. Who promised them land that someone else was occupying? It just seems to be the way. They promised it to themselves. And even right now, if you look, the weapons, the warring, do you think God's people would really need to be using weapons against people. What is no weapon against me shall prosper? What is that? So, I mean, it's a lot to talk about. And realistically, scripturally, I honestly have several facts that lead me to the understanding that the so-called African Americans here in America are actually the real Jews. Because the word Jew derives from Yehuda or Judah, however you want to say it. That's where it comes from. Historically, those people in that region of the world were all dark people, all dark. That's the reason to this very day that a lot of those countries in the Middle East have a problem with Israel. Because it was stated, how are you going to leave black and come back white, referring to the so-called Jews? This has been stated throughout the Middle East. They know. They know something that America and Americans don't know. The biblical Jews, the ancient Jews of antiquity, were all dark-skinned people. Whether you want to accept it or not, whether you want to believe it or not, just because you don't believe it don't mean it's not true. Okay, there's no way around that. But I'm gonna show you a brief clip. I think you guys need to see this. Sometimes when you study and you start seeing things, you really want other views. You want other views of what's going on. I'm gonna just give you guys a brief clip of something. Then I want you guys to come back and talk about it.
Africa is, some of it is based on the Ten Commandments. Moses, born in Africa, raised by Africans. Moses was a Hebrew, an Israelite, and a black man.
So many people are blinded to the scriptures, blinded to historical truth, and they're led by their heartstrings, but it's not actually fact. One of those things, again, that people have been led for so many years is thinking that the Ashkenazi are in fact descendants of Shem. And we've discovered that the Ashkenazi are in fact the synagogue of Satan. They're the descendants of Japheth. They're Turkic Mongols from the Khazarian region that converted to Judaism in the 6th and 7th century. These are the things that we've discovered over the past few months. Those teachings came across in exposing the rotting stick of Israel and the synagogue of Satan that are in our archives. But then if I'm going to go forth and say, well, you know, those that say that they are Jews but are in fact not, but are the synagogue of Satan, and the Ashkenazi are in fact not Jews, they are sons of Gomer, Japheth, they're not even Shemites. Many people have come to me and said, well, who are the real Jews then? Where are the Jews and what's going on? I mean, we understand that we're Joseph's multicolored coat and we're exiled into the nations. But if Yahweh is gathering the whole house of Israel, all 12 tribes, and the stranger that wants to graft in and join, then where are the tribes and what's...
That is a good question. There are 12 tribes according to the Bible. Okay. How could the people of Israel, the Israelis, be the chosen people? Which are 12 tribes. They're claiming to be basically one tribe. They're claiming to be the originals. Even though, of course, they were placed there in 1940, 1949 under military escort, basically. Again, the people in that region were actually ran out of their homes in the middle of the night and replaced. You force somebody to go home in the middle of the night, take over that area, and say it was promised to you. Well, but that's really godly. Anyway, if you go to the book of Deuteronomy, okay, if there's a question about who the real Jews are, and then I'm going to get out of here. I just want to get you guys thinking early in the morning. If you go to the book of Deuteronomy, if you go to Deuteronomy 28 and read verse 68, okay? Now let's see if I can pull that up really quick. Okay? Only me. Okay? And I'm going to read to you what it says, okay? And then we'll just break it down just a little bit. Then I'll get out of here. It says, Deuteronomy 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondsmen and bondswomen, and no man will buy you. If you think about that for a second, what that means. And the Lord shall bring you into Egypt again. What does Egypt mean, and what does that again mean? Think about it. Now, the so-called first time we were in slavery, realistically, according biblically, was in Egypt. Okay? Egypt was referred to as a land of bondage or slavery. So if you just change that simple word from Egypt, and the Lord should bring you into slavery again on ships, what could happen to you? Did they go into that land of Israel on ships as slaves? Are they slaves now? No. Are they on top of the world now over Israel as far as to the financial systems and banking? Yes, they are. No doubt, undoubtedly, they are. But were they sold into slavery? No. Who was sold into slavery? Think about it. Oh, you'll say, well, a lot of people were sold into slavery. Well, maybe a lot of people were sold into slavery. But who went into slavery on ships and were sold as bondmen and bondwomen, who were tortured, raped, murdered, lynched? Oh, the so-called African American. That's who went through this particular prophecy. Deuteronomy 28:68. And you can go even further, even deeper. If you go back just to Deuteronomy chapter 28 and read it from beginning to the end, 1 through 68, you'll see beyond a doubt, well, especially black people, I'm talking to you for a second, you'll see that this fits no one else but you as being so-called Jew. I'm not saying you're Jewish because you're not. And those people over there in Israel, they're Jewish because they converted. But you can't convert a bloodline. Or you can convert a religion or a belief, but you cannot convert their bloodline. Their bloodline is what you are, and it's where you come from. And you got to start thinking about these things. But when a lot of times I'm going to get a lot of grief for it, when you tell us sometimes as black folks something good, you're real skeptical. Because again, a lot of you still pimp with these preachers in the pulpits. And I understand, I get it. They give you a good time in the church. But you have to understand what you're getting. You are the church. No preacher can tell you about your relationship with the Most High. And as soon as you understand that, and you start reading the scriptures for yourself, and stop thinking from a religious mind, and start thinking from a spiritual mind, you'll get better. Once you make those changes, you'll get better, and you'll start to see the things that were meant to be seen. And some people say right now, and I get it all the time, oh, well, I'm sticking with the church. The church has truly blessed me, this, that, and other, blah, blah, blah. But wait a minute. The devil, Satan, has the ability to deceive. So if he's deceiving you into thinking that you're doing well, imagine how much better you could do if you researched and became more spiritual and learned on your own and learned true knowledge. The knowledge is right there in the scriptures. You just have to read it, but not from the religious mind. Because even if you research where the word religion comes from, what you need to do, I don't know if I will even tell you right now, but yeah, what the hell? Religion. They have so many different religions because that's what it's designed to do. That's what it actually comes from, religios. You just research that word and you'll find out that's what religion is meant to do, to confuse, divide, and separate. And that's what it does. That's why you have so many different religions. But get into spiritual. Once you're spiritual, you're spiritual. There's no way around it. You learn, you awaken, and you go from there. But anyway, I'm not saying that any one group of people is better than anyone else or anything like that. But what I'm saying is this, is black man, black woman, guess what? Those scriptures are talking about you. They're talking about your ancestors. So take what you want, take it how you want. People listening, I don't care what you really think, but just go read for yourselves. But I want you guys to subscribe, like, share this video if you can. I'm your boy Drew, and I am out.